Okay, here's a quick look at my 15-day cruise starting in Miami, and the hardest part really is getting on the boat, which takes a while to do, but I'm very happy once I'm there. And this is the view from my lovely balcony room as we depart Miami. Our first stop is the Cayman Islands, where I went snorkeling, but I don't have an underwater camera, so instead, here's a pirate. Our next stop, the beautiful Puerto Limon, Costa Rica, where I went to this rainforest and saw snakes and saw butterflies and saw more butterflies, but these ones were dead in their collection. And we also got to ride on these air tram gondola things from the top of the mountain all the way down through the jungle and seeing all of this beautiful jungle foliage, etc., etc. I know you can't see it, but there is a sloth up that tree. And then it was time for a jungle river cruise. But unlike the Disney one, this one had like real animals, crocodiles and caimans, more sloths, etc. Monkeys too. And don't you know, I really loved these cool sort of tiki-like masks they had there as well. Love that stuff. On to the Panama Canal. These lock parts were kind of boring because you sat there for a couple of hours, but the rest of it, beautiful. Unbeknownst to me, such a beautiful collection of lakes that you go through, man-made lakes that were created when they made the Panama Canal, and it was very beautiful and lush to just sit on my balcony all day, listening to music and watching the Panama Canal. It took from about 5 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon to get all the way through the canal, ending with beautiful views of Panama City in the background as we left the Panama Canal behind us. Now they had this weird crossing the equator, equatorial toga parade thing that I didn't do, but I just watched in the hot tub and got extremely sunburnt. These are views of my lovely cabin and balcony conveniently located directly below the buffet. Oh yeah. Our first stop in South America was Saliveri, Peru, where we were greeted by Peruvian dancers with handkerchiefs, which they always seem to be dancing with handkerchiefs. I went on a tour of the city of Trujillo, where we see here their beautiful plaza. All of these Latin American cities have a beautiful public plaza with colonial buildings and cathedrals, etc. Very beautiful. I went inside the cathedral, and it was really beautiful. All of the iconic artwork inside and just the design of it. Very beautiful cathedral there in Trujillo. Then on we went to a museum highlighting the Moche culture, Aboriginal culture, actually older than the Incas, and their Temple of the Moon, which they have been excavating. They also have a Temple of the Sun there. Really impressive, considering all of this is made out of mud brick. Peru is largely a desert. I did not know this. Hasn't rained here in this place since 1975, and I'm not sure what would happen if it rained a lot, considering this is all made out of mud bricks. I don't know. I really don't know. Now, this was in Lima, where we went to this really gigantic market that they have there that the people shop at for most of their fruits and vegetables. Really impressive stuff. And gigantic papayas the size of like basketballs. Seriously crazy. And they had fish, too. And, of course, we went also downtown to their absolutely beautiful square or plaza. Now we went to both the Inca Palace and the Indian Market, which are right across the street from each other, and they're both just gigantic and huge craft markets with all kinds of interesting things. The next place we stopped was the coastal little resort area called Paragas, and it was really very strange and sort of like, I don't know, a lot of dilapidated buildings and sort of halfway finished condo developments that were abandoned. The water's super cold, there's tons and tons of seaweed and lots of birds pooping in it, so nobody goes in the water. And it's really interesting. I kind of like it in a weird way. They have lots of tsunamis there, by the way. So right in the middle of the desert is this little coastal town of Paragas with its little row of restaurants and hotels that are sort of actually falling down. When I say that Peru, a lot of Peru is a desert, I'm not kidding. Check this out. This is what it looks like in most of the places we're going to. Just the rocks, the sand, the desert, right up to the ocean. And that's what you see. Meanwhile, back on the ship, some pictures here. They have lectures before you go places that you can attend. This is the Versailles dining room, very elegant. And of course, I'm reading lots of books and drinking lots of coffee. We have many days at sea, which I'm not showing you. I didn't really take a lot of pictures on the ship, but here are a few, and we did have many days at sea. And of course, I'm not even going to talk about the food. So much food, delicious food. That's one of the big attractions on the cruise, you just eat. Here's some food porn. On to Arica, Chile, our first stop in Chile, where our dancers obviously forgot their handkerchiefs. In Arica, they took us to a sort of a crafts village or a reconstruction of a traditional village with workshops also showing you where their crafts were handmade. Yet another place where I didn't buy anything. I don't buy that much, not much of a souvenir shopper really. Here's a museum honoring the Aboriginal people of this area, and they were known actually for mummifying their dead, and there were several mummies there. Now, God bless her, our tour guide in Arica, they had a bad sound system on the bus. Her English wasn't great, but above all, she was just super as annoying AF.
The second time. Because so many times pass in the life that you change the mind. So depends how you feel is how you think about the book. In this case, the hieroglyphic and petroglyphic. And now you have to say.
So, yeah. Then we went to olive farms to see how olives are prepared for eating, for export, and we also got to sample foods made from these olives, and it was delicious. Then it was on to the twin cities of Coquimbo and La Serena. First stop was, of course, the local marketplace. And after that, we just drove around and saw some of the sights of the two cities. And then our last port, San Antonio, where I disembarked and took a long ride into Santiago, Chile. On the way, stopping for empanadas at a ranch. I'm sure you'll notice we have the return of the handkerchief dancers. Then to stop at another beautiful Krat village. This one actually a couple of hundred, I think, of different buildings, small buildings, very beautifully designed and looking like a small little garden community of artisans. I really enjoyed this place. It was very beautiful and could have actually spent hours there. Then on to lunch and performances from more Chilean dancers. Now the second half of the show was all dances of Rapa Nui, or the Chilean dependency of Easter Island, and you know I was all about that. And we wound up with a tour of the downtown Santiago area. Lots of statues defaced, lots of graffiti, burnt telephone poles, things like that. You could definitely tell there'd been some unrest or manifestations, as they call it, going on there in Santiago, although I didn't see anything myself happen. By the way, Santiago is huge. I just had trouble wrapping my head around how gigantic this place is. Then I stayed the night at this beautiful small boutique hotel in downtown, just kind of to my taste. My room opened right up there into the courtyard, you can see, and I just really enjoyed my stay here. Even though there wasn't any air conditioning, we survived. Next day, I just walked around the neighborhood, had an amazing Chilean pot pie, caught an Uber to the airport, and that was the end of my Norwegian Star 15-day Panama Canal South America cruise.